So the first question is, why is the body the brain's first teacher?
Well, let's talk neurologically about this, because the brain has a structure. And in the early years, or right from the very beginning, when you are conceived and in those early months in utero, your brain is functioning at brainstem level. In other words, that's the survival part of your brain. And during the birthing process, the baby uses the natural instincts that are in the brainstem to assist or actually trigger the birthing process, and uses very important reflexes that we know have huge influence on a child's early physical development. Uses the primitive reflexes to move through the birthing canal, to survive, to find food. Uses a reflex called the palmar reflex to push itself up to the breast to find food. These early infant reflexes are there to help babies to survive in the first few months of life, but they're also the beginnings of movement. So you may, for instance, see when you touch a newborn's feet, they will push. They have this natural instinct to push. That is a reflex that once the baby's on the floor, rolls over onto its tummy, pulls its little knees up underneath it and starts to move forward. And that's the beginnings of movement. And these primitive reflexes are lodged in the brainstem, the lowest level of brain development, which, as you know, is the part of the brain that is responsible also for keeping us alive. It's kind of keeps our blood pressure at level. It digests our food. It does all of these automated functions that keep us going. But also the brainstem is the part of the brain that initiates early movement, right? And so these early infant reflexes are there to help babies to start to learn to move. So to roll over, to get up onto all fours, rock backwards and forwards, pull themselves along, begin that very important opposition movement that we call crawling or cross-patterning, that helps develop pathways between the two sides of the cortex, the left and right hemispheres. The more cross-patterning a baby will do, and a child does, helps with processing and information going between the two hemispheres. So you can see right from the very beginning that movement plays a huge part in a child's physical and cognitive development. And then the next level of brain development is what we call the cerebellum, or the motor cortex, and that's where you see kids doing things, even from a baby stage. When children are exploring movement, they're doing it over and over again. They're building really strong pathways in the brain through repetition that help automate these movement patterns, and that's stored in the cerebellum. So these lower levels of brain development are actually associated with movement, right? So you can see that movement right up the top levels of brain development, like the limbic system and the cortex, are all specifically geared to thinking and processing. But the lower levels are all about movement. And the way the brain's structured is it's designed to develop from the bottom up. It doesn't mean we're not using the top levels, but it's designed to move from the bottom up. So a baby's young child's natural instinct is to use movement to learn, to practice movement, so that they over time do it over and over again, and they automate their physical functions so that they don't have to think about it. For instance, when a child first starts to write, it's quite a labored kind of experience. But what underpins a very good hand, pencil grip, is that a child needs to have good upper body strength, has to have developed their manipulative skills, and they do it through play and through real physical experience. Everything a child does involves the body.